we just highlight the classes and highlight the frequencies, and then I'm going to insert the 2D column chart.
Because there's numbers at the bottom, we can connect, right?
Yes, and since we want to make a histogram, we need to connect those here. So remember to do the plus sign and add the axis titles. Change the title along the bottom and the side as well as on the top of the chart for what we're describing here. Okay, and then we're going to right click on the data, format data series, and change the gap width down to 0 for a histogram, and then go change the border color to something solid here. And I don't want any transparency. I want it to be a solid line, not blue. Okay, so make sure we have some sort of a border here so that our bars stand out. Okay, obviously you'll have a lot more bars on
See, that's
your
what I didn't
project.
do on the other one, the little bit. I mean, the,
Okay. Yeah. So. Okay, so now we've created our frequency table over here on the side. We've created a histogram based off of the frequency table. You're just going to have to change the labels and make sure that the bars touch and that they're outlined and it looks presentable. Okay. So we gave you a graphic, need to give the graphic title, label the X and Y axis. All right. And then the last part says find the z-scores of the 5 heights below and what do your z-scores mean. So these 5 scores, I want to go back here and just make a separate section on z-scores. Right? Z-score. Okay, and I would list those 5 heights. So 72, 63, 69, 74, 77. I'm just going to go ahead and pick a random one, 70, which is not on here. And in order to find the z-score, you would have to know what the average is. Okay? We'd have to find the average of whatever that data was. I'm not going to put that in here. And we need to know what the standard deviation was. So you have to use these 2 values that you found over here as well from this all heights information. Okay? So I want you to find the z-scores based off of the all heights data, the all height mean, the all height standard deviation. And to find the z-score, remember, z is equal to the score minus the average divided by standard deviation. But when you type this into Excel, I'd recommend doing parentheses, your score minus the average, and then divided by the standard deviation. If you don't put the parentheses, it's not going to calculate it correctly. It's only going to divide the average by the standard deviation and not do the subtraction
so
first.
if we did this by hand, can we just enter it in there?
Yes, you could.
Okay.
Okay, so you can do it by hand, or you can do equals, parentheses, the score, minus the average, close off the parentheses, divided by the standard deviation.
Enter.
And then hit enter. All right, we would get a z-score. Now, obviously, that z-score is ridiculously high because the height is, the average was taken off these low values.
So can you show that again, how you put that in there?
So I did equals parentheses, the score minus the average, and then close off parentheses, and divided by the standard deviation. The same as if I would do it by hand, but I can just do it in Excel if I wanted to. Don't have to do it in Excel, but you can. Okay. And we would do that for all 5 heights. Okay?
Okay.
So we have essentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little tables here listed and 1 chart,
All on the what we submitted.
all in our Excel portion.
And we're submitting that.
And we have to submit that, okay? So you're gonna submit an Excel spreadsheet, but we also have a reflection paper that goes along with this.
Oh my God.
All right. Now, the reflection paper, you just need to answer these few questions. Write a reflection paper about your experience with the data project. Remember, we're looking for elegant and sophisticated answers. So we want a comparison of the data by gender. And so for that comparison, you can come back here and compare the values that you got here between the male heights and the female heights. So you can take a whole paragraph explaining the differences between male height and female height. All right? Which group is taller? Which group is smaller? By how much? What's the average? What's the median? You know, you don't have to list every single difference, but take a few sentences, maybe a paragraph, explain the differences between male and female. So second, a description of where the 5 heights above fall with respect to the entire data. So we have these 5 scores, and within this paragraph here, we're answering where do these fall with respect to the entire data by interpreting what do the z-scores mean. All right, remember when we find a z-score tells you how many standard deviations above or below that score fell above or below the mean. Now you could look up those z-scores, and then for an interpretation, you could look up the percentage and say a person with a height of 70 inches is this percent taller than everyone else. So if you
So we can use the chart to look up the z-scores?
yes, you can use the chart to look up the z-score, look up the percentage, and list the percentage in the paper and say a person with this height is taller than the rest of this percentage of the population. Okay? Okay, so a comparison of your mean and median. Is the data skewed right or to the left? And what does that mean? So compare the mean and median for the all heights data. Okay? So when it doesn't specify a specific gender, just use the all heights data, the combined. Okay? And then a comparison of the data, the class data, what you were given, with the average for the mean height of men is 70 inches and the mean for women is 65 inches. So you're going to have an average male height and average female height from your data. Write a sentence or so, short little paragraph, comparing your average versus the national average here of 70 and 65. The averages you found. And then explain the advantage of making a frequency table and bar graph or histogram, really it's histogram, over leaving the data in the original form. So write a few sentences as to why this frequency table and bar graph is better than just leaving it like the numbers. All right.
Is that what you